Hi, my name is Adam. Today we're here to talk about Redis Modules a bit. You probably heard enough of it on the last couple of days. I guess you probably heard enough of it during the last couple of years even. Since version 3.5, Redis Labs are talking about it. And we started using it, the community started using it right after the release. So that's, about 2 years now. Cool. So who here uses heard about Redis Modules at all? Right. Who here uses them? Show of hands. Like one? Cool. Who here wrote a Redis module? Just me? Okay, sure. Okay, they keep plugging it in our ear. Like, this is the amazing new thing. This is like, you can write your own data types, and you can write your own, whatever you want, Redis can do it now. So how come no one uses this platform? Why are we not using this amazing tool that we were given? Well, the first reason, I think at least, is this slide. Has anyone here been to Tamar's lecture yesterday? Yeah, so he said, I'll show you when we should write a module. And then he put on this slide, which says never. Like, you should never write a module. So we are good kids. We never write modules because that's what we're told, right? But that's just missing out on, like they said, the best feature ever written to a database, to given on a database. So I'm here today to talk to you about when should we use Redis, how should we use Redis modules, Redis in general, to solve our clients' problems. But I'm also a cheater because I'm not really going to talk about your clients, not like your aunt trying to order an Uber using their app, using her app. I'm actually want to talk about your users as platform developers, as backend developers. Our users, right, are the front-end guys. No user has ever written a Redis request on their phone or on their computer. They don't do that. They click a button, press an animation, and then something happens behind the scenes, and then we get to know about it, and then we ask Redis to do something. So our clients are the developers, right? And No, that's the developers. That's the front-end developers. Just kidding. So our clients are the developers, and the tools I'm going to speak about today are all applicable to companies who encounter the same problem. They had too many clients doing the same thing or doing kind of the same thing, and they couldn't handle the masses, these unwashed masses who come to their door trying to ask something from them, and now you can't handle that. But we're doing everything right? We're using our logs are on the Elk stack, and our data is in Redis, and we're using the latest and greatest technologies all around. Why aren't we scaling right? And the answer, and these companies can range from everything from every size to every other. These are a select group of my clients, right? My personal clientele is you have giant companies that you probably heard about. You have small companies that you probably didn't heard about. Did anyone hear about Vuser? No, it's a 3-person startup that closed a year ago, obviously. But they had the same problem that Cisco had, and this company as well. They have the same problems. So what's common to all of these guys? What's true to the biggest clients and the smallest clients when it comes to scale, and is applicable to our project back at home where we just do something, hack something at night because we think it's a good idea. So today this is what I'm going to talk to you about. How do we use Redis modules to solve basic scale problems without following that horrible slide which says you do what you're told. No, you do what you think is right. So let's we're gonna answer a need of a client, right? So let's start with what is a need. A need is just one part of the triangle. When we're trying to scale up a system, we're trying to do all three. Right? We want to give our clients something which is good, answers a need, right? And we want to give them fast because that's what means to be scalable. You should try and be fast, and you should also try to do it cheap because if you had to pay, I don't know, $30 just to order the Uber, whether you're using it or not. No one would use an Uber, right? No one would ever take it. So we're trying to always to find like the best place we want in this triangle. Where are we truly? Where is the optimum point for us to be on this equation, so to speak? So if this is the value triangle, we can move on to the product triangle, which is basically the same. We just say instead of answering this amorphic need concept, we're actually doing something good, right? We're providing a good to the client. And hopefully this good is also actually has value by itself. Right. So taking this to our world, as developers, good usually mean precise, right? We're doing a calculation, and this calculation should have some form of result, which is hopefully precise. What do I mean by precise is, let's keep with the Uber example because it's so easy. If I'm trying to match a ride request to an actual driver, it's the best I can hope for is for me to match the closest driver to the closest user, like the closest request. As far as I go from that, meaning I'm getting a worse result, it's a less precise result for me, right? We need to get a bigger radius maybe, or we're kind of letting ourselves cheat. Maybe we won't use we won't give the first best. We'll try to take the top K, and then we'll take one of these at random. I don't know. Like there could be some optimization here, optimization is art. Like to choose to know where to cheat, but we don't want that. We want to be as precise as possible. And in order to be as precise as possible, we need to think performance, right? We need to we need to make our system as cheap as fast so we can spend the time being precise. Like this is our calculation. We are becoming more precise by spending more time or more money, right? We can rent more computers. We can put more money in the cloud. We can get a bigger instance. It will do more flops, more calculations per second, so we can be more accurate. But okay, sure. So this is this is our world. This is where we live. They won't teach you this at school. Maybe if you learn project management, I guess. But this is this is something you should come on by you should come to understand by yourself, I guess, from building software. So what does that mean? How all of this relates to writing Redis modules? So let's start off with the basics, right? Performance. Redis modules, it's good, right? The performance is good. We know that. This is what we're told repeatedly. We're using Redis. Redis is fast. Redis modules are faster. Cool, whatever. So just like take an example. This module that's called ready, whatever, and it's like I just got it off the site, the Redis site, and these are the statistics for it. They start off from 1,000 operations per second and got up to 300,000. So quite a jump. Okay, cool. But what does this do? This is event dehydration. Cool. Yeah, whatever. Like rough writing, whatever. It's like, why do we care? It's like, okay, it's really hard. This is writing this kind of Redis module is probably like the worst thing I could ever do to myself. I'll have to remember how to write C code, and I'll have to start digging in the innards of Redis and listen to a ton of really boring lectures by guys I don't know. So I'm here to set you free from this notion. Like this is where we're not riding a wild horse. We're going camping. We're having fun, right? Because this is Redis now. Like Redis without modules is just like a robust piece of software. We know it's gonna work. We can hammer nails with it. We can even make a call with it if we want. Like it does everything, but it's really like it has no features. And for most users, this could be Redis. Like it can have everything we want, but one missing feature. At least, like if we only had a headphone jack, this would be like the perfect phone, right? So now we can add the phone jack. This is what Redis modules mean. This is the exact idea of Redis modules. We forget about the notion of let's build something huge, and we go down to the resolution of what is that? Like the one thing that will make my life easier. So Yeah, kind of like that. I don't know if you use this phone. I don't recommend it, but somewhere in between. Right. So this is how we mostly use Redis, right? We have the user does something, and then by way of magic, it gets to our system, and then our code does some data preparation or some data crunching. It asks something from the DB or from, in this case, Redis, but it could be any DB, and then takes the answer back and does something with it as well and sends it back to the user, right? This is a real rocket surgery. This is the base of every system you've ever written, probably. Okay. But with modules, we can make Redis understand our data, right? This is like the main premise. This is what we are being told again, again, again. Make Redis think with your terms, in your terms with your data structures and with your objects. Cool. So we have all of these, like we have the JSON and we have Bloom filter and we have graph theory, like whatever you want, it's written there. Even this, like this dehydrator type thing, it's like it's in this rubric. This is where it belongs. But okay, so if so good, now why no one is writing these things? Because how many JSON adapters do you need for Redis? Here you have one. You use it, right? That's fine. So this is the 1%. Like this is if you find yourself writing a module that does some form of actual data representation within Redis, it's super rare, good on you. It's like cool, probably a cool product. There might be an article there, like an academic article, but fine. So let's put that aside for a moment. What about doing your work? Like we have modules. Modules like there are actual C code within the Redis system. So we have this infrastructure, Redis. It has data replication. It has all these different aspects of storage. Obviously, it has a concept of thread management to some respect. How can we use this? So the answer is yes, because you see a lot that you'll have some intake calculation, and then you'll have a Redis query, and then some like, okay, it depends on if I got this information from Redis, I want to do this operation on Redis. So we'll do the second operation. And then you do whatever and send it back to the client. Like this is like a basic flow. But why do we need this sigma there? Like why do we need to do this calculation? Why do we need to contact the server and then to pull it back? We can do just send everything, put everything in a module. So we write a small piece of code which does exactly that. Just this this piece of connective tissue, so to speak. So that's a bit simpler, right? And it's maybe applicable to more people than just writing the huge data structure. What is it good for, except for convenience? Is because we save network hops, right? Yeah, I skipped this one, but we save network hops. It's not good if we're doing anything else, like if we're contacting a server or going outside the cloud. But if we're doing just something local, just some calculation or some basic logic, we can put it in Redis. Right? Excuse me. It's also good if we're using some form of a repetitive task, some pre-scheduled task, because this is also quite a common structure you see for software. You'll have some form of schedule that says, okay, now we shall do this, and the software and starts the service some form of Lambda usually, and then it does something with Redis. Okay, you can have Redis do the scheduling itself. Forget that Lambda. Who needs it? So once again, there's this tiny piece of code, usually 1 or 2 functions. Throw them in there. Don't be afraid of it. So you get all these different cool things about it, but basically the main idea is the last point. Like the last bullet is just move your data closer to your calculation and vice versa. This is what you learn on day 2, I guess, of computer science. Like this is the basic of the basic, right? But what if you want something even simpler that's applicable to 100% of the population? Every user that uses Redis should do this as well, in my perspective. Like, because this is what you. If we would go back to our first example, like just this circle, the simple circle, most of your code when speaking to Redis is connective tissue. right? You'll have your logic that this is your business. The two blue calculators, this is your business. What you do before and what you do after your data. And to some respect, your data itself, right? But the glue thing, the connective tissue, who cares about that? Because Salvatore has decided that we should use like h, inter, whatever, like, I don't know what these commands mean. They're not in English, or they're kind of in English, but you have to be very familiar with them. You don't care about that. You'd prefer to have like just a single connective, a single instance. That make Redis, you would prefer if Redis would actually speak your own language. And I'll explain. Yeah, this is me skipping over the concept of the notion of it solves network hops to move data closer to the computer, to the move calculation closer to your data. So let's close our eyes for a minute. We'll assume it's 1 a.m. The alarm rings or the phone rings, and there is a bug in production, right? And not only that there's a bug in production, but we're also fleeing Naboo in our royal starship, right? What would you prefer what code would you prefer seeing there, right? This entire HScan, either whatever with all this Redis logic in it, or just like fix my ship. Like you'd obviously prefer the last, right? It's way simpler. When you look at production code on your business logic code, you want it to be in business language, like you want it to be in like the simplest term you can understand, because this is where it hurts. The connective tissue, that's paper pushing. No one cares about that. Right. So once again, this is you don't earn as much like points for doing this. You're not moving your data closer. You're not earning anything in terms of performance. But you being able to solve the problem that much quicker has a monetary value to it. Right. Once again, but it's so hard to write. Like it's a pain to write Redis modules, right? It's annoying. It's uncomfortable, and you have to see all these lectures. And yeah, but you can also just like write some piece of code. This was my first module that they're ready. Like this was my first module I've ever written. I've just seen like one slide. I took one slide. Like this is my second module I've ever written. It's 32 lines of code, including spaces. Like all it does is adding comments to Redis CLI. I wanted to have like a real script with comments in it, not just a bunch of code for my testing. I wanted to write real code. I wanted Redis to speak my language. So I made it like accept hash as comment, and then I thought, well, maybe a JavaScript programmer would like to use it. So I had a like double semicolon, and then you just make Redis speak your language. This is like the simplest version of it, and it's 32 lines of code. Anyone can do that. So going back to the first module I ever built, this was I had like a way of learning. It took some time to learn it, but still, just like the version 1.0, right? It already doubled performance. So this is just using what Redis Labs called the high level API. It's not doing it. I took the Python code, I guess, and just rewrote it in C. And whenever I saw a Redis command, I did the Redis call and that command. That's it. It was once again it was work, but it wasn't hard work. Like it was just looking like command Fing the API. Basically, that's it. You didn't really have to know anything new. Mostly copy and paste. So this is the whole concept behind Redis. And how much time do I have? Cool. So this is the whole concept behind Redis. Behind Redis Modules, you start with the smallest change you can possibly imagine. You start off with just like, let's try and make it speak a language. And then maybe, okay, if we have some time, okay, let's offload some work to it. Because think about it, it could be, Redis is effectively an app server now with modules, right? You can do whatever you want with it. So Redis search, right? It's amazing. It's this entire system. It's way beyond what we think of as a module. It's not a data structure. It's an entire system. So, and I'm not saying anyone here should write Redis search. Like your boss would not like it if you would start to write like an entire system from scratch on their time. you should totally do something that is good for your business logic, for your team or for your company. But that could be a very small thing. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be painful, right? And you get all these benefits. You save network time. You save run time, actual calculation time. You get better business logic. If you have like some JavaScript client running somewhere and you have some C client running on somewhere else, they can both use the same API you actually wrote within Redis. They don't know that it's a different module that they go through. So this is basically it. You should go and make it. You should go and try and write like the most basic module. Wherever you see a Redis instance, look just around it. Like what is happening beforehand? What is happening right after it? Do we go back to it like a couple of seconds later, or a couple milliseconds later? Like what do you do between each and every call? And only then you can go and do the hard things. Like okay, what are the data structures we need, right? So this is like a second tier kind of idea. And also, someone just asked me this on my way in. You can actually run Redis on every cloud platform. You can run it. You obviously can run it on your own local machine, but you can also run it on Google and on AWS without their permission, right? Even if AWS has Elasticache, it doesn't mean you can't run Redis. And the reason to run Redis yourself and not using their Elasticache service is for you to be able to use these modules, these advanced APIs that are not being supplied to you by the cloud provider, right? This is a pain. Running your own instance of whatever it is, like running your own instance of Elasticsearch, is a total pain. But sometimes you have to look into it and see if it's worth your time. So once again, I'm not saying it will be always worth your time, but I'm just saying, like when you wake up at 1 a.m. and you see a line of code that you've written and makes sense, like logically, sure, you're golden. That's when you break out the whiskey, because you found the bug that much easier. Cool. So this was a really, really rapid talk because I thought I'll have less time, which means, yay, we have a lot of time for questions. And by questions, I'll lead your hand here. We're looking for two different. What I would really like to hear from you are like pain points, and preferably stories, like if you will have the time, of where do you think, or where do you feel that you would like if by magic a module could appear, and how would you would like this to happen? So I'll repeat myself. Think of if you could have any feature in Redis, like anything, right? Itamar did a zpop feature yesterday. So any feature, any small amendment you would like to have, like what would it be, and why are you not writing it yet, right? Yeah. Cool. And for the first three, I have 3 books here. For the first 3 questions, I have a book. Yeah. For the first brave one, yeah, right behind there.
What's it like deploying your own Redis modules?
Oh, right. Okay, so deploying a Redis module is done within the same line of let's see if I can do it here. Yes. Okay. Give me a second. This is how I usually deploy Redis module, and I'll do a back search within my own terminal, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is how I load my module, right? I just call you see where I store my latest Redis, right? But I just call Redis server, and I say load module, and this is the module. This is it. And from like when you go on a GitHub repository of an existing module, you usually get this .so file. It's as simple as that. You should never. In this respect, they made your life so much easier than anything else that it's just a shame not using it. Like just this concept of it. Right. Redis modules have, like, as I said, they're advanced use cases, and you can go. It's a bottomless pit. You can go as deep as you want. You can actually do now external. Not external threads and all these different. Never mind. This is like you can go extremely complex, but you don't need it. The whole concept is, like, and this is the point I'm trying to get to here. Redis modules are so simple to use. It's a shame not to use them. Like, you can just write something. It's just write 30 lines of code. Try that. Start from getting this this comment this API. Like when you play with Redis next time, try using comments. Right? It's on GitHub. It's as simple as that. Right. Come back later for. Yeah. Cool. Another hero. A brave person. Yes. Yeah. So we have two guys here. Yeah. Yeah.
So is C the only language in which we can
write
modules?
Get your microphone closer.
So is C the only language in which we can write modules?
No. I prefer writing modules in C because I'm this type of person, I guess. But and C is the kind of the original language that, because all of Redis is written in C. But you can also write modules in Python, I think. You can also write Lua scripts, which were like the original modules before you had modules. And there are all these different. Once again, I use C, so I'm not very familiar with it. But you can write in modules in other languages. And basically, and you don't get as much benefit out of it as as like writing low-level code, hardcore, yeah. But it's not. Like, we don't need that. Like for making Redis speak your own language, it's fine. So it will take like under a sub-millisecond extra, whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
So I mean, I'd prefer writing it in Golang, and Golang has the C Go support, right? And
yeah,
you can generate a shared library and just load it the same way that we've all been doing.
Right. So I don't know. Yeah. So you can write. You can compile everything to shared library, and then I guess I think it might work, but I've never seen a module written in Go.
Okay.
I'll be even more rude, so to speak. Even the C that is used to write Redis modules is very basic. Like, you don't need anything. You just, once again, you use their lib library and you copy and paste mostly. It's like, seriously, this is what I do. This is how I've written every module I've written so far, and I've written a couple. But more than you've seen here, right?
So writing in C, will that have better performance benefits than any other language?
Speak up, please.
So writing the module in C, do you think that'll be better? I mean, will it perform much better than writing it in any other language?
I haven't tried. I don't know. I can't tell you. I can check and get back to you.
All right.
Yeah. But I know that it has been done before. You can actually ask the guys from Redis Labs, the programmers. They're all dressed in black. They're all very high, and they all have a Redis Labs tag on them. So we'll find them. And most of them are bold as well. So it's a good thing to look out for. Right. I'll get back to you though if you'll find me. I guess in a couple of hours I'll try and ask it. Okay. Cool. And you had a question, right? Yeah.
My question is how you control the quality of a module that goes into a production.
How do you control this? Sorry?
The quality
of
a module that goes into a production instance of Redis. Anything that's more complicated than comment this or aliasing a command is very risky. And
right.
If it leaks or has a bug.
How do you control the code that runs on your production servers?
We test, and we have unit tests and integration tests, but it's more complicated when you're running inside such a huge system.
Right. So
huge relatively.
You're right. In order to use Redis modules and be like 100% safe with that, you will have to, I guess, write your own Redis. But it's like using. You should think of it as like running lambdas, I guess. It's more than that. It's a bit it's a bit smarter than lambdas, but like it's like an app server. You don't really know what's going on there. within Redis itself, but you have to kind of trust it. Your code itself, and this is how I develop modules. I write like a standalone piece of code that does the job, and then I just write the connective tissue. And it's that much easier to test it that way. First of all, because this is intro to CS type of work, right? You just write the code and then you connect everything. But it not only allows you to check everything, but it also allows you to be lazier. Like not everyone in your team has to know how to write the module. And then you do an internal test, like unit tests for your code, and then you can also write tests like external. You should write external tests for your system as well. So I usually use C tests to test the C, and then I have like a Python script thing that tests the Redis as a whole. You also have the dumping system of Redis. So whenever you write something in Redis, you have a lot of debugging tools. I think there is a video about that. Never mind. The data is out there. You have it on Redis.io. You have all the information about how to debug Redis by yourself, and you have all these different commands. I usually also add when the code is fairly complex. I add a debug command which is hidden, and that like when I go to production, I just either delete it or leave it there, but you don't really care because it's like it has the unique name that you would never find because a user would never find because the user wouldn't look for it. And then what you do is you put whatever you want in it, like, because it's essentially you call it from outside of Redis while it's running in Redis, and then it does the tests internally. So this is like kind of a loop-to-loop, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
sure. Right, so these are three books. If you're asking a question now, you're asking it for nothing.
I'll ask a question then.
Yeah.
When you first started, what were some of the best resources that you used? Was it like Google Groups or was it the Redis IO site?
Yeah. When I started, I wrote my first module in the Redis hackathon that they had last year, a year and a half ago, I guess, something like that, right? And they kind of published that they will have a hackathon and you can prepare anything you want before. So I just started writing my module. Like this was the ready thing. This is client code. I had a client who had this Python library that we developed for them as well, and like this was basically the bottleneck of the entire system. But we said, okay, that's connective tissue. If your bottleneck is connective tissue, you either need to double your Redis or double your. You're kind of stuck. And it was fine. The system still did, I guess, like around 2 million events per hour or something, or per minute. I don't remember. Like it was fine. It didn't really hurt them. It was like it will be painful in a couple of years. And then a year later, they had the hackathon, and I just said, okay, this is a good time to try and figure this out. And I just used the GitHub. Like the GitHub has the most up to date Redis Labs / Redis Modules GitHub, I guess, has the latest and greatest of everything, like of all the documentation. You also have the Redis.io site. I have really struggled to find anything on Google, at least then, because it was brand new. Today, I guess it's a bit better, but probably still the same thing. Because once again, how many of you developed a Redis module? Me and you, right? So it's the same thing. We haven't gotten yet to a point where it's like a mass, like there is a critical mass of people, so that people will ask questions and get answers. Like when you struggle, you figure it out yourself. And I haven't said that, and I'm gonna throw work at. I guess I'm gonna make someone else do my work. You can ask the Redis guys, like just email itamar@redislabs.com. Itamar H. He will probably answer your questions happily. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else? I have 10 more minutes to the second, actually. So I'm gonna. Okay, cool.
What about compatibility between Redis versions?
Yeah. Okay. So in the beginning, it was really Redis modules were all over the place. Like Salvatore just had this idea a while ago that cool. Let's have this Redis modules thing, so I don't have to provide support from my clients. Basically, like I don't want to give them the features they want. They'll do it themselves. And so we just had this. So a while after that, he's written the model. He's written what has become today's Redis Modules platform. And it was really all over the place. In the beginning, it was you had to define it in a different way than you have today, and you had all these hurdles around. Basically, it was kind of uncomfortable to use, but still, it worked. And as the months progressed, it became better and better, and they did all these minute changes. Still, most of your code was the same because it's your code. It does the same work. Just how you connect between Redis and like the core of Redis and your module has changed a bit, like really a bit. I think this module broke only once. Like there was a compatibility breaking change, and after speaking to Salvatore yesterday. I think there will be another batch of small changes because there are there's a lot of requests from the community, like the few that are writing models to add all these different things, and this is a major thing. Salvatore will start writing modules himself, so we will probably have this is how we roll in Redis. Like Salvatore does something. It's kind of the same as Linux in the early days, right? Like Linus had an idea and then he does it, and everyone should follow suit. So we're in the same stage right now, and Salvatore will start writing modules, and he wouldn't like the things he did to himself, so we'll fix them. But we will all be better off because of that. Cool. Thank you all for coming. I'll let you off earlier. And if I owe you a book, come over.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you guys.